Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
I don't know if it's just me, but Cam Newton seems super high throughout his entire press conference.
And Brandon Schultz.
There's a worldwide yogurt monopoly. Dannon is the top dog, and I think they probably own cottage cheese too.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it, he's vital. The Seahawks coming to take division title.
This is episode 173 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, joined by my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
I can't wait today, Brandon, to discuss with you the most schizophrenic team in the NFL, your Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be fun.
Is there a ranking out of some sort? Did I miss an important list that's been released lately?
No, it's just intuitively I know that has to be the case.
There's no other more schizophrenic team than the Seahawks.
No, it's either schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder. I'm not sure which it is yet.
I think you may need somebody with a PhD to make that determination.
No, they need a clinical diagnosis. There's no doubt about that. You know, a big win, you know, in the sense that it was a blowout. But, I mean, wow. We've got a lot to cover with it because there is a half of football there, a half in change that's not the team we want to see.
40 minutes of football, and this team was tied up with the 1-3 Indianapolis Colts, 18-18. But the Seahawks go on to get the 46-18 win, piling up the points in the third and fourth quarter, which was fun to see. It was fun to know that the team had that in them at home. We'll get into that. We'll get into, we talked about putting Justin Coleman on the milk carton. And that was a good thing that we did because Jacoby Brissett, he found him. We'll talk about that. Injuries plaguing the team. Got to get into a lot of the injuries that took place in this last game against the Colts and who might be coming in behind them. And then, Adam, you know, I've seen some questions from members of the flock, some Seahawks fans, on whether or not the crowd was able to make good on Easley's request to get the wave in at the game, and I want to make sure we address that before the end of the show. Okay, good. And I mean, because it's conflicting reports, man. I mean, I don't know if it's just all fake news. I don't know what's out there. So I'm hoping you'll be able to weigh in on that and clear the air for us. I will be able to shed some light. So let's get right into it. Like I said, the Seahawks get a 46-18 win over the Colts at home to move to 2-2. It's a good thing, too, because we have one more game before the bye week, and we'll be talking about this game coming up against the Rams as the Seahawks go on the road. But the good news is the team is back to 500.
Yeah, that is good news. It definitely felt, I don't know if it felt the same to you, Brandon, but to me it felt like at halftime, I found myself asking the question, we're going to find, you know, what is this team about? And we're going to find out exactly what this season means to this team in this second half of football. Either they're going to come out and stop these guys, or they're going to screw around and potentially lose this game. And I mean, we eventually got our answer, but thank God they came out and stomped them in the second half and got us back to 2-2. So that, I mean, that a 1-3 start would have been difficult.
Yes, especially losing a game at home that you're supposed to win. I can deal with losing a couple road games against good teams in their own house. I can be totally understanding of, you know, if you can go 4-4 on the road, be perfect at home, or at least, you know, maybe lose one game here or there.
7-1, yeah.
Yeah, you're on track to win the division. But losing to a bad team at home, you can't do that. And it looked like they were on their way to doing it, too. Now, they started off well. They got on the board with a Blair Walsh 44-yard field goal. But then, you know, Russell Wilson, it looked like he got rid of the ball. The end zone ends up taking a safety because his knee was down. A couple plays where Russell Wilson just got rid of the ball just a little bit late as his knee was on the ground. It ends up costing the team 2 points.
Yeah, I did. The safety there was a tight call. Great play by the Colts punter to pin him down right there at about the half-yard line.
Oh, my gosh. That was, yeah.
Yeah, and a couple runs out of the end zone. I mean, Eddie Lacy nearly got stuffed for the safety anyways. You kind of felt it coming. The idea that you're going to do anything on a drive like that is tough. Where you're on the half-yard line. I don't care who you're playing. But I don't know about you, Brandon, but to me, I thought the first half really highlighted the phrase "football is a game of inches," because you said just like that with Russell Wilson going down and just barely not getting the ball off in time there, barely not getting the ball to Luke Wilson as he was going to the ground. Ensuing Colts possession, they go down the field and they get every favorable spot that's ever been given in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, by a half inch, any one of those goes the opposite direction, and now they don't score. Then you have the interception, the first interception by Russell Wilson, and man, that guy just barely gets his hand in there, tips it up in the air, snags it, and then barely gets his toes inbounds on the sidelines there. A game of inches. It felt like the Seahawks had all the plays there to be made. They were just half an inch off.
They were losing all the inches. All the inches were lost.
Yeah, well, or even just Robert Turbin's touchdown run in the first half. I mean, he didn't look like he got into me, and they let him stand there. It did never whistled him down.
Yeah.
Forward progress had been stopped for like 45 minutes. And then finally the ref runs in and goes, "Oh, touchdown."
Right.
Well, yeah, if you give him 10 decades to run it in there, then yeah, he's probably going to do it. So yeah, I don't know if this team really performed completely differently between the first half and the second half, or if it was just all of those, the Al Pacino speech in Any Given Sunday, all the little inches add up, and then you finally get there. All those little inches are adding up and going against the Seahawks the first half.
Well, there was one moment in the first half that did go the Seahawks' way, and that was when Jacoby Brissett actually found Justin, the carton kid Coleman. We put him on the milk carton last week, and Jacoby Brissett, he found out where he was.
Slot left, shotgun snap to Brissett. He looks left, fires outside. Ball is picked up, going the other way for the Seahawks. It's Coleman. He is going to score. Touchdown, Seahawks. That time, the youngster Justin Coleman steps in front of that pass and takes it to the house. The pick six. Brissett lying on the field, gets up slowly. A 29-yard touchdown interception return, and the Seahawks put 6 on the board.
Now, I thought Clinton Bonner had an interesting point here. This is twice now where Jeremy Lane has left the game due to quote-unquote injury, and Justin Coleman has come in. Clinton Bonner in his 3 and 3 out this week suggested that Jeremy Lane and Justin Coleman are the same guy.
Yeah, that was an interesting theory. I wondered, is it a little like Face Off? Is that kind of how it works? I'm not exactly sure, but there's a possibility of that. But, I know that probably the happiest person in the country was Justin Coleman's mother, because Jacoby Brissett did find her lost son. That was nice.
Reunited him with the Legion of Boom.
Yes,
he's back with his family now.
He's back with his family, all safe and sound. But he's played really well. I think the only way that I could dispute them being the same person thing is that Justin Coleman plays way better than Jeremy Lane.
Maybe it's like a Clark Kent Superman type thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, the Seahawks do everything with like 2 identities, right? So why not this too?
Or like Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Peter Parker, when he's just a kid, he's kind of, the ho-hum type of guy. But then he gets a Spider-Man suit on and he's able to do Spider-Man things.
Doesn't Spider-Man's like regular name, isn't it the worst out of all the superheroes? Peter Parker. Like, it's just,
well, it fits him, though. A bad name. It fits Peter Parker as a kid.
I guess. It's pretty dweeby. Peter Parker.
Are you not familiar with the character of Peter Parker?
No, I mean, I am.
It's not like he's a cool kid.
Well, is Clark Kent Captain Suave? No,
but it is a much cooler name.
That's all I'm getting at. Okay. Anyways, but Justin Coleman, great job on the interception, and he did it in zone coverage, and apparently that's been one of the issues that's been keeping him off the field, is that he struggled a bit in his zone coverage assignments. Pete Carroll alluded to that, and it was great for us to see him come through in zone coverage like that and score on a pick six, because God knows our offense wasn't scoring in the first half.
No, only 3 points by the offense in the first half. They had another opportunity when late in the second quarter, they get the ball back with just about 35 seconds to go, 25 seconds to go, able to drive down the field and get Blair Walsh on the field to try and kick get 3 more points for the team with 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
And he misses it.
Yeah. I think it's become clear to me now. We talked about the good play binder on the last podcast. And I think what it is that the game would be too easy for Darrell Bevell if he was allowed to have the good play binder the entire game. So I think what happens is Pete Carroll says you do not get to have it until there's less than 2 minutes left in the first half. Then you can have the good plays binder, and we'll see what happens. But in the first half, I want to see what you can do with the bad plays binder.
Well, there's a moment where I thought exactly that must be the case, because Pete Carroll comes over to Darrell Bevell and kind of gives him a little hug and whispers in his ear a little bit with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's what they're talking about. Like, see, Darrell, this is why you don't get the good play binder the entire game. Because now look, 46-18. If we were running up 50 points, I mean, that's just not cool.
Yeah, you're gonna insult and disrespect all the 31 other teams in the league if you do that. So it's a good thing they're doing it this way. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness we're 2-2 rather than 4-0, because now we've kind of lulled teams into a false sense of security that they might have a chance at playing the Seahawks. Now look at how the Rams are playing right now, and we'll get into this, but they're putting up all kinds of points. So they're not going to catch anybody by surprise at this point. But the Seahawks, Pete Carroll, he's onto something here.
He is. He's playing Possum Pete. I don't know. It's crazy. That first half was really difficult to watch. The Blair Walsh missed field goal, that was alarming. And not just because he missed the one. It's that Michelle Tafoya called it beforehand and was like, oh yeah, he's got the struggles big time down here. There's no way he's making this. Donk. Doesn't make it.
Well, and it was covered throughout halftime too, as Kenny Easley was having his number retired up into the rafters. Blair Walsh was out there trying to kick field goals and missing.
But the other direction, he was okay, right? It was just that direction they had the struggles?
Well, I don't know, because it showed him missing left every time. Now, maybe he was, I
thought it was kicking into that end zone.
It was kicking into that end zone, but he couldn't kick there during halftime because that's where Kenny Easley was set up in the red carpet and everything. Okay. But that is where he had his struggles. Now, the one thing when it did show him doing his practicing, it showed him missing left every single time. But he missed the first one right. Right. So
we both played a lot of golf, Brandon.
I know.
Yeah.
And so you know what I'm saying. You know when you're just pushing everything, and then so you go out to the range and you try and hook everything possible. Right. I wonder if that's what Walsh was doing, just trying to go, okay, now I'm going to try and hook everything just to make sure that I'm missing it left. Because every one that he missed left, it was just by a little bit.
Or did he miss all of, because Michelle Tafoya watched him struggle all through the pregames, right? Was he missing to the left or right then? Was he missing left the entire time during pregame? And then when it came time to kick the field goal, he tried to overcompensate for that and then pushed it right.
That's a good question.
But you can just tell when you're struggling with control and accuracy, like with the driver off the tee box, you try so hard to just strangle the hell out of that club and guide the ball down the fairway instead of swinging free and easy. And that's kind of where he's at right now. And that gets a little spooky.
Well, fortunately, when you put up 46 points on the board, you don't have to be as concerned about the onesies and twosies that you're getting here and there.
Yeah, I suppose so. But 14 of those points did come by way of defense, though. So, I mean, it's not like the offense went out and crushed it. This ended up being kind of a total team effort when it was all said and done.
Hey, I'm all about total team effort. I'm all about the defense scoring points. When they're making all the money on the team, I'm okay with them doing things like this. Well, backup defensive end, linebacker Marcus Smith getting a sack. Jacoby Brissett puts the ball on the ground, and Bobby Wagner runs it in for a touchdown.
Jacoby Brissett out of the shotgun, pulls it into the belly and then out of. The ball is up in the air, hit. The ball's rolling around. The Seahawks pick it up. It's Bobby Wagner down to the 10, down to the 5. He is in. Touchdown! Seahawks. 2 players down out at the 21's a Seahawk. I know the Colts are going to say Brissett's arm was going forward, but Bobby Wagner scoops that ball up, broke 2 tackles, and scoots in, and that might be a backbreaker if, in fact, it stands.
The Seahawks get the extra point, go up 32-18 at that point. Bobby Wagner, he wasn't going to be denied the end zone on that play.
Yeah, he wasn't going to get chided by the entire defense. You know who should get chided, though, is Steve Rabel. Apparently, he has a hard time with Jacoby Brissett. Brissett.
I'm okay with it.
Are you?
Names are hard.
Never okay. You're never okay with it when people get the names wrong.
I will give Steve Rabel a pass.
Why?
I don't know.
Just because he says catfish well?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. I won't give any passes to. Steve Rabel, though?
That I know. I feel the double standard here. This is ridiculous. But Bobby Wagner really did, make a yeoman's effort to get into the end zone there. But really, let's focus a little bit on Marcus Smith. I mean, he had a whale of a game. I thought he really flashed.
He did, and a lot of that was because Cliff Averill going down early on in the game. Averill also having a good game. The 11 plays that he was in there, he had 3 hurries on the quarterback. But Marcus Smith comes in. He gets the sack for the forced fumble. He was in on another sack. The defensive line, once they knew that they could really tee off on Brissett, man, Sheldon Richardson had a good game. Frank Clark, a great game. 6 hurries on the quarterback. Sheldon had 4. And we saw Frank Clark leap over a dude to make a tackle as he was trying to get a cut block on him. He just hurdles the guy, makes the tackle. No big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, Frank Clark. Now, see, that's his alter ego name, right? Or his real life name, because he used a superhero on that play. He definitely just hurdled that dude and tackled him. I don't know how he did that. That was amazing. The pass rush was really pretty good all game. I mean, they got even better when they had a lead,
right?
But they were getting pressure all game long.
Some credit to Brissett, man. That guy could get. It was hard to bring him down.
I mean, I remember watching his college tape when I was doing my yearly quarterback breakdown. And that was the first thing that stuck out to me was just how large of a human being he is. I mean, he's in that Cam Newton range, and he's got a hose for an arm, man. He can really sling it. I think his future's pretty bright.
Oh, absolutely. I'm curious as to why the Patriots got rid of him as opposed to Garoppolo, knowing that you have a little bit more team control with Brissett. But
I think they really like Garoppolo. Yeah, because they've never had a problem jettisoning backup quarterbacks in the past. We'll bring your trade value up, sit you behind Brady for a while, and then we'll get rid of you. The first time that we get a sucker to take the deal. Well, they've had a lot of big time offers for Garoppolo, and they're not getting rid of him. And I think part of that too is with Tom Brady's age. But I think they built up Brissett just a little bit, and then they got what they get, like a third for him from the Colts, something like that?
Yeah, I don't even remember, but whatever it is, I think it's looking like a pretty good deal for the Colts.
Well, yeah, they've got their future quarterback. All right, that might be a little ridiculous.
It might be a little bit of a stretch.
But heck, I mean, they might be able
to flip Brissett now for a higher than what they gave to New England.
Yeah, I think he's made a nice accounting of himself since he's been inserted into the starting lineup, and he really played with a lot of courage on the road in the clink. I thought he did pretty well, especially considering your starting center goes down and they bring in some guard that had the struggles with doing the job
to figure out how to snap, with the head bobbing and I called for 2 false starts almost within the first few plays that he was in the game. He
settled down. I mean, to his credit, as far as that went, but it's a good thing that the pass rush look good and the defensive line look good, because this is the type of game that you should look good in.
You should. And it goes for the offensive line, too. You expected the offensive line to look good. They looked like, I saw a list where they were top 5 in terms of offensive lines this last week. But it is starting to look like we may have a mid-tier line. Yeah,
so that list that you referred to was even done by an offensive lineman, a former offensive lineman. It was Sean O'Hara from NFL.com. And is it O'Hara or O'Hara? I can never remember what his last name is. Anyways, he played for the Giants forever. And Sean.
O.
There we go. That guy. But he had the Seahawks ranked as the 5th best offensive line performance of the week. Now, that's pretty high praise. And they really have strung together now 3 games where you've looked at it and been like, okay, that was serviceable play. We can absolutely win and function with that if everybody else around them starts doing their jobs. Like catching the ball, Jimmy Graham.
Well, Jimmy Graham was catching the ball. 4 catches, 61 yards in this game. Tyler
should have
Lockett
had 5.
He should have. But, Tyler Lockett, 4 catches, 67 yards, had a great leaping catch, 41 yards down the field. Incredible play.
4-man rush. Russell has all kinds of time. Now he's got to step up in the pocket. Now he scrambles left. Now he looks. Now he throws downfield. Now he's got a man reaching out, making the catch inside the 35. Tyler Lockett again. He finds a way to stay alive for his quarterback. And Russell moving to his left, throwing back to his right. And the catch, perfect pass. Big reception for the Seahawks. First down inside the 33-yard line of Indianapolis.
You really have to see that play to believe it, because I think it broke some laws of physical nature, the way Russell Wilson was running to his left and able to float the ball up and still have it travel to his right enough for Tyler Lockett to run over and get under the ball.
Yeah, if Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't come out with some sort of tweet to explain that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to chalk that up to voodoo magic. Because it did seem a little physics defying. But Lockett had a great game. I thought that Paul Richardson also played very well. I think one of the things that happens to be in the good play binder is the way that they kind of use those two guys interchangeably with some of the jet sweeps and bubble screens in deep routes. And so it confuses defense, because you can't, when Jermaine Kearse was in there, everybody had their very specific role. I mean, Tyler, he was the guy for the bubble screens and your deep threat, right? Mm-hmm. And Doug Baldwin was, he's that Steve Smith kind of possession receiver. And then Jermaine Kearse was absolutely the possession receiver. Like, that's what he did, where you had Baldwin running little slants and stuff. And then, Kearse was your guy that you chucked it up to high point it to. Now you got guys that are completely interchangeable, and you can't, it's more difficult to match up with that with your corners. If you have a guy that struggles covering the deep route, then you put him on a different guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that sort of game plan is in the good plays binder, and that was cool to see those two players step up with Doug Baldwin injured.
Another thing that we saw, Jimmy Graham lining up out wide a little bit more in this game. Got to see Tyler Lockett on a sweep. He had 2 runs for 24 yards, an average of 12 yards a play. The running game, really, in this game, Eddie Lacy, 11 carries, 52 yards, average 4.7. Chris Carson, before he went down to injuries, 12 carries, 42 yards. And J.D. McKissick, a 30-yard rushing touchdown on his way to 38 yards on the day.
Russell's going to hand to McKissick. He goes right side. He steps inside of a tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Seahawks. Are you kidding me?
Shot him out of the cannon.
Man, where did he come from? He was in the backfield, and then all of a sudden he was in the end zone from 30 yards out. Goodness gracious. The Seahawks on top, 24-18.
Look over your shoulder, CJ ProSize, because your job is in danger, man. Between that and the touchdown catch that McKissick had, good Lord. Like, that was an amazing performance by him. Also, give Eddie Lacy credit. Came in and ran the ball fairly well. I think he led the team in rushing yards when it was all said and done.
He did, yeah, 52 yards. Carson was the next one at 42. They both had about the same amount, 12 to 11 attempts for each. So Eddie Lacy, yeah, like you said, give him some credit in this game. He looked like the type of running back that we hoped he would be going into the season.
Yeah, he looked decent. I mean, the holes were there. And
if you can put the holes there, then he can run forward, fall forward, get first downs on a couple occasions. He had a run of 19 yards in this game.
Yeah, basically untouched for 17 yards of them. Like, he's never going to be the guy that busts off like a 40 yard. You give McKissick that
same hole, and he doesn't get touched and goes all the way. That's the difference between those guys.
You give that to Thomas Rawls, and he's gone.
But the difference between McKissick is he did not seem like an inside runner to me. After they got him outside, got him into that, got him the touchdown, they tried running him inside a couple times, and he got stuffed pretty quickly.
He got smoked pretty hard, yeah, in one of those. Now, we're leaving out the most important run of the game, Brandon. That's our quarterback, man. Russell Wilson takes off at the beginning of the third quarter and just wills his way into the end zone.
4-man rush. Russell stepping up in the pocket. Has a little room. Pulls it down. He's going to go 15, 10, 5. Down to the 1-yard line. Is he in? No call yet. I think they're going to say he's down at the 1-foot line.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has been changed.
You didn't even have to hear what was going to come after that. You knew. A 23-yard touchdown run by Russell Wilson to ignite his offense, but also to ignite this crowd who they were wondering what's up here with the Seahawks.
And that was down 15-10. The Seahawks get on the board. They take the lead 16-15 at that point. Russell Wilson passes to Doug Baldwin wide open in the corner of the end zone for the 2-point conversion to put him up 18-15. But you call it, man. Russell Wilson on that play, fired up. He was not going to be denied the end zone.
Yeah, and we talked about the game of inches earlier, and that's one of the plays that went back into their favor in that game of inches. He just barely gets the ball across the goal line before his thigh touches the ground. And you've heard a few of the players come out and talk about it. Doug Baldwin specifically was asked, hey, when do you remember the last time Russell getting fired up like that? And he basically was like, September 12th, in the RCA
3 years
Dome,
ago, yeah.
3 years ago at 9:42 a.m., Russell Wilson got fired up. I remember that, and I fired up the whole rest of the team. Like, he could remember specifically.
Yeah, it was so newsworthy. There was a headlined article talking about how Russell Wilson got emotional on the touchdown. If your quarterback gets emotional that few times that it's worthy of a news headline, then maybe he's not very emotional very often.
Yeah, that's a true fact. Now, when that happened, that seemed to fire up the entire team. The switch finally flipped, and they found that actual focus to take those plays that were just not quite there and then start making them. And then it was an avalanche, and it was good luck and good night, Irene, for the Colts. I mean, it was all downhill from there for them.
Yeah, they bounced back with a field goal. That was after Russell Wilson threw another interception, and
Jimmy Graham assisted in an interception. J.D. McKissick got stiff-armed all the way to the ground. That was kind of a bummer for him, but yeah.
But the Colts did get a field goal out of it, but that was it for them.
That was it, and the defense really cranked it up, and you can see how important it is to play with a lead and to have the ability to run the ball, keep time of possession in your favor, and really wear out the opposing defense while keeping your defense fresh, so when they come in, they can just pin their ears back and make life miserable for the opposing quarterback. And it's an age-old formula to win football games. It's one that Pete Carroll loves, and you watched it come to fruition in the second half.
Yeah, the Seahawks on third down did a great job, 10 of 15, 66%, held the Colts to 6 of 14. Time of possession, though, for the Colts, it was 27-48, but it wasn't until late in the third quarter where the Seahawks, finally, they held the ball for pretty much the entire fourth quarter because they were down in terms of time of possession throughout most of the third quarter.
But then you saw them recommit to the running game. They started out pretty good at the beginning of the game, getting Chris Carson the ball, and I was like, all right, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. They're going to start with the running game, and they're going to stick with it, and it's going to be effective, and this is going to be great. And then you saw them kind of get away from it for a little while, and then they finally came to their senses, got back to it, and really closed the circle of toughness running the football. It was really weird to me to see Thomas Rawls as a healthy scratch for this game.
It was weird. And I don't know if it was if they're just playing with the idea of kind of bouncing back between Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls, just to kind of, or if there's
just pick a dude.
Yeah.
Pick a dude.
Well, now we don't have to worry about it anymore, unfortunately, because Chris Carson goes down in this game. Man, that was after we were all so fired up watching the Seahawks just kind of start to run away with it. And kind of everybody's euphoria was, we all got that punch to the gut when Chris Carson went down and they came out with the aircast.
Yeah, a big time bummer. I'm still unclear as to what the injury actually is. I had heard it was a broken ankle at one point, and then no, it was more like a high ankle sprain, and then there was a fracture below the knee, and then I heard that he had to have surgery on his ankle. Like, I have no idea.
No, it's very confusing because they classify it as the same type of injury as a high ankle sprain, but apparently it's that it was a fracture under, toward his knee. So I don't know why you would call that ankle surgery. Like your ankle is on the opposite side from your knee.
I know the knee bone is connected to the ankle bone, but there's a lot of bone in between.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of space there. I've never grabbed my knee and went, oh, my ankle. Like I've never gotten confused.
No. So it was confusing, but it does sound like there is the possibility that Carson could be back a little bit later in the season. Kind of the same type of injury, I guess, that Rawls had last year, maybe against the Rams after he re-injured his leg. So let's refer to it as a leg injury. That's a little bit more, that's general enough to account for where the injury actually happened.
I want to say, we're going to refer to it, we're going to say he has a leg.
Yeah, right, because Pete Carroll does not, he simplifies everything down to ankle. He doesn't say injury. He just says, like Cliff Averill has a neck.
Correct. Yeah, let's go through some of these injuries, right? So Cliff Averill has a neck, and that was a little scary. I mean, you could see him kind of working his hands after the hit, and a lot of people that they refer to that as a stinger. This seems to be slightly more serious than that. I don't know. Like, again, conflicting reports about how serious this is. I have a feeling that that's going to be at least a 1 to 2 week injury would be my guess. Don't screw around with that when you're talking neurological stuff.
Right. And with the bye week coming up after the Rams game, it does make sense to just say, hey, go ahead and sit this one out. Another guy, Rees Odhiambo.
So he'll play.
Right. I was on Twitter with Keith Myers of trying to figure out, decode Pete's language, because, a lot of times he'll say it's a significant injury, or he'll say that it's legit. And, trying to, if it's legit, I guess that means that he has to have surgery and he's done for the year.
Right.
If it's significant, it means he could probably play next week.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I like it.
Because, Richard Sherman played with a significant knee injury all last year.
Right.
And he didn't even get on the injury report.
So you're more hurt than injured if it's significant. But if it's legit, you're more injured than hurt.
I think that's a good way to parse it.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we decoded that. So
it only took 3 of us, and you simplified it perfectly.
we codified it eventually. I'm glad you guys got, pretty much the bottom of that for us, because I've been very confused as to some of that language. Now, so we're all rooting for Cliff Averill. It would be great to have him for this upcoming Rams game, but just don't screw around with that. Another injury that was super scary, Rees Odhiambo.
Yeah, and that was on one of the interceptions from Russell Wilson. He kind of gets hit in the chest, and some reports were that he had a bruised heart early on. It turns out his sternum is bruised, but a scary moment in the locker room when he was having trouble breathing, and they ended up delaying the post-game press conferences because of what he was going through in the locker room, and he ends up going to the hospital.
Yeah, gets taken out on a stretcher. Apparently, he was struggling pretty hard because he came back into the game,
right,
and finished the game.
I know.
And Russell said, I kind of noticed that, he's having a hard time kind of breathing and stuff, but, they don't have time to hey man, how you feeling?
Right.
You doing okay? So they were still running through their plays. And if you're in there, you're expected to do your job. And boy, that takes a ton of guts. And they talk about grit a lot on this team, and Rees Odhiambo has it, and he may get beat here and there, but he has played pretty darn well out there at left tackle. I've been very pleasantly surprised. I guess maybe not surprised, because I picked him at the beginning of the year to end up in the Pro Bowl. Or at least be nominated for it. Yeah.
You did predict that. And actually, he would probably, if I were to pick the weak link out there right now, I would probably look Odhiambo's way. But I do think that that's a position where, like Fant, he's only going to continue to grow, I think.
Yeah, you've seen progress from him just in the first 3 games that he's started here, right?
Right.
So I'm super encouraged with his progress to date.
And to go from being in the hospital, taken out of the locker room on a stretcher, to sounding like he's going to be a go for Sunday's game against the Rams, man, you talk about grit.
He's a beast. Game balled. He was almost my better at life than Skip Bayless this week. But I wanted to go a more humorous route instead. But otherwise, I mean, he would have been my nominee. I mean,
he was on your radar for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. I was super impressed by that.
Any other injuries that we're leaving out of this game?
I'm sure there was other minor ones. Those were the big ones, I think.
We talked about Lane because Lane went out and allowed Coleman to come in. That was the other one with the hip injury.
Right. And he can't do it. He's just too frail, man. He's just too wiry. He just doesn't have the mass to be out there down in, down out. I think the idea of Shaq Griffin and Coleman out there, I love that. I think those guys play well together. I think Shaq Griffin had a whale of a game.
Yeah.
Give him some credit.
I think those are the three guys moving forward. I do think that Jeremy Lane, with the injury in week 1, with the injury here in week 4 now, I think that's going to cost him his spot in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think it's happened. And you know how much the coaching staff likes playing the younger guys. In other injury news, Doug Baldwin got through the game without aggravating the groin injury any further. So allowing him to heal up again throughout the week. I'm sure we'll see him out there doing Doug Baldwin things. So that's exciting to know that a guy got through the game without, aggravating something when they're pushing it to get out on the field.
A lot of people not practicing on Wednesday. Baldwin sits out Wednesday. Graham sits out as well. He's still dealing with his ankle issue. Luke Jokel sat out practice on Wednesday. Procise. And then, of course, Averill and Lane, we already talked about. Sherman sat out with a groin. Earl Thomas didn't practice with a knee. And Quentin Jefferson, he's back in the lineup. He was limited in practice on Wednesday, but Quentin Jefferson back on the Seahawks, gets pulled off the Rams practice squad and is back into Seattle now.
Yeah, Quentin Jefferson back on the team. That was a guy that I was surprised ended up off of the team at the end of the year. Didn't he get snagged off a practice squad?
He didn't make practice squad. The Rams snagged him up. And then they put him on their practice squad.
So the other factor here is that you get a little inside information too. You get a mole, along with bringing Quentin Jefferson back to the team and his talents on the defensive line. I like his game, and I think he can really play. I think that's great insurance for not having Cliff Averill on the field.
And then Rees Odhiambo, as we mentioned, full participation in practice on Wednesday.
Wow, really?
Yeah, isn't that wild?
He's a beast, man.
I know. I think we've said it multiple times. Odhiambo's a beast.
Is he a beast?
He's a beast.
You know what I think? I think if I were to get a jersey right now, it might be a Rees Odhiambo jersey.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm crushing on Rees Odhiambo.
You want my Come On Rees train drop that you can just kind of loop in your iPod?
Maybe. I'm going to need something. That's for sure. Because I'm going to have to come up with some sort of nickname for Odhiambo here.
Come on, Rees train.
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
All right, Adam. Well, what do you say we move on to this game against the Rams?
All right. I think every Seahawks fan, man, when you bring up the Rams, your first reaction is just, those guys.
Yeah.
I can't stand those guys. But the good news, Brandon, this is not the same Rams team that we have been facing for the last, 4 or 5 years. This is a totally different type of team.
Is that good news?
Yes.
Well, Jeff Fisher isn't coaching the team anymore, so I guess there is that part of it to look up to. But when I see what the Rams offense is doing, not the Rams defense, but the Rams offense, first in points, 35.5 points through 4 games, fifth in yards, 384 yards per game almost, fifth in passing yards, 270. They got Jared Goff some weapons in the offseason, drafting Cooper Kupp. They got Sammy Watkins from the Bills. I was talking about it on the Knock on Sports this week. You had Tavon Austin as the best receiver for the Rams last year. He's now, number 4 on the depth chart?
Yeah, he's now been, reduced. Well, I guess he was always reduced to, gimmick play guy.
Right.
But that's where his role is clearly defined. Now, I like Robert Woods a lot, actually, out of that receiving group. I think he's the guy that freaks me out the most. Sammy Watkins is a guy who has had success in the league and has some talent. I'm not sure the chemistry is really there with Jared Goff at this point, a young quarterback in his second year. And good Lord, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's one continuous train, this hype train for Cooper Kupp, then his train car of hype is linked to Christian McCaffrey's train car of hype, like the white wide receiver hype train. My God. The Cooper Kupp love fest by the announcers. They love talking about his dad. Oh my God. I don't understand it. He's okay.
He's okay.
I mean, he's not a game breaking guy. And the other thing that annoys me about this guy is that you can't just say Kupp, wide receiver Kupp. Every time they say his name, it's always Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
It's one of those names you have to say the two names. Cooper Kupp.
Well, it's like Chris Carson.
That's a little like Russell Wilson.
Well, you have to throw in his middle name most of the time. So really what you're saying is you're saying Russell Carrington Wilson, and you're shortening it to just Russell Wilson.
There you go. That's a good point. But yeah, the Cooper Kupp thing annoys the piss out of me.
I can tell.
I can't wrap my mind around it. They do have weapons, no doubt about it, and they have scored a lot of points, no doubt about it. They scored a lot of points against the Niners. They scored a lot of points against the Colts, and they scored a lot of points against the Cowboys defense. That's not good.
And didn't have Sean Lee.
Yeah, we all know that's the linchpin to that defense.
Right.
So, sure, they come in all high flying and everything. That's wonderful with their new young. Their head coach is younger than both you and I, Brandon.
Yeah.
He is younger than you and I.
He's younger than a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I know, but this is the first time in my life I've had an NFL head coach be younger than me.
Yeah, I guess that would be true.
Because when all of my friends who are girls called Josh McDaniels Hottie McDaniels. When Hottie McDaniels was coach of the Broncos, I think we were the same age at that point.
So this is the first time that he's younger. Yeah.
This weirds me out, man. This weirds me out. But he's in there, and he's changed the entire identity of this team in the sense that this is definitely an offense-first team. Because, yes, they definitely are scoring a lot of points, but they are giving up a crap ton of points. They've given up over 60 points in their last two games. This is not the same Rams defense of old.
And Wade Phillips did change around the defensive scheme in the offseason, but it's made a big impact. And maybe that's just part of that offensive strategy of being more aggressive, that the defense now is 28th in the league in points, 27th in yards, 30th against the rush, giving up 150 yards per game. And that's facing running backs like Frank Gore, Rob Kelly of the Skins, Carlos Hyde of the Niners, Zeke Elliott, and then giving up big runs to Chris Thompson of Washington, Alfred Morris of the Cowboys. And they've gotten gashed for some big runs in the last 4 games.
I'm really glad you brought up their run defense. That was definitely one of the matchups that I thought worked out heavily in our favor, because mark my words, put it down right now. This is going to be a huge Thomas Rawls game. Mark it down. He was a healthy scratch last week. It's not like he's coming back battling injury or anything like that. He was ready to rock. He's fresh, and he's going to be the lead back. I cannot wait to watch him run all over the freaking Rams and watch him outrush Todd Gurley. He's going to outrush Todd Gurley in this game.
Well, he better, but Todd Gurley now back-to-back 100-yard games. I was talking about where they ranked. The Rams 15th in rushing right now, and that's thanks to those back-to-back games by Gurley against the Niners and Cowboys. So the one loss the Rams had so far, they're 3-1 right now. The one loss has been to Washington, and that was when they played them at home, and they were held to only 20 points.
Yeah, this offense doesn't scare me a ton.
A little, like more than in the past.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to me, it's the same exact formula that we've always seen that you need to take with the Rams. Load up the box, make sure that Todd Gurley doesn't beat you on the ground, and then make the second-year quarterback go out and beat the Legion of Boom. Good luck with that. And the one thing that in this matchup that scares me the most about their offense, it's the swing pass to Todd Gurley out of the backfield. That he was lethal against the Cowboys with that. That has been a bugaboo of this team and this defense for a long time. They don't have the tight ends to really give us fits that way. So it's going to be making sure there is somebody at all times that goes with Todd Gurley out of the backfield and is there and ready to make the tackle, because they made some huge plays like that.
Well, they've definitely made it known to the Seahawks, because we heard Pete Carroll mention it in the press conferences. We heard it mentioned by Richard Sherman in the press conferences this week, that they are aware that Jared Goff likes to check the ball down to Todd Gurley. And I think the big difference, though, now is when you have receivers like Sammy Watkins and Tavon Austin who can stretch the field. They're actually stretching the field and opening it up for the short passing game, whereas I don't know if Fisher used that. And the other thing is that now with Andrew Whitworth playing left tackle, Jared Goff actually has a little bit of time to throw the ball.
Yeah, their offensive line is slightly improved from last year, and you hit it right on the head with Whitworth being kind of the guy that you can credit for the majority of that.
He's been awesome this year.
Yeah, he's been great.
Worth every bit of the $15 million that they had to pay him, but that's why you pay a left tackle that kind of money.
Yeah, it's really cool to have a left tackle that plays lockdown left tackle.
Right.
Like that's a nice thing. Now, they do have some areas on the offensive line where they do struggle. Their right side of the line is not a super strong unit. And I think you'll see a lot of Mike Bennett matching up against those guys. He likes to move around a lot and cause chaos. I think you'll see him over there on the right side, going after what is his name? Havenstein,
I think, yeah.
Whatever, yeah. Between him and the guard,
Rob.
Rob. Bennett on Rob. You're going to see that a lot. And I think they can get to Jared Goff. The pass rush, if it really does even half of what it did against the Colts, will be just fine on defense. Jared Goff gets super flustered under pressure. And we talked about the numbers a little bit before we got on the show, Brandon. And I know it kind of points to middle of the pack stuff, but the eyeball test and watching him play, he really, as a young quarterback, he still stares down his first read a lot. And you get a little bit of pressure on him and the accuracy's gone.
I do worry about the checking out to the running back. Todd Gurley he's shown us enough now that if you get him out in space, I think there's a little bit more cause for concern. I think they could bottle him up inside, but get him out and make a linebacker miss. I'm worried about this game, Adam. Maybe you can tell me different, but I am legitimately worried about this game. And maybe it's because I just look back in the past at the Rams and the fact that you go back to even 2013, the Super Bowl season, where the Seahawks won 14-9 and played terrible the entire game and needed a touchdown pass to Golden Tate to win that game. Since that time, we have not been able to beat the Rams in their own house.
This is not the same team, Brandon. This is not the same team. They have a totally different personality. I know some of the faces look familiar, but it's wired completely different. The one thing, though, that is constant about this team is Aaron Donald. And when you talk about why I would be worried about this game, this is where I'm worried. You've seen this offense struggle mightily when you've gotten a dominant defensive tackle going up against this offensive line. We'll see this is going to be a great litmus test over the last 3 weeks or so, if that growth of the offensive line is legit, or if we're going to get duped into thinking, oh no, these guys have gotten better like we do every single year. And then when they go up against a legit defensive tackle, get murdered. So this will be the test. And you're going to find out really quick. You'll know by middle of the second quarter.
Well, and it's not just Aaron Donald. It's Michael Brockers in the middle as well. He's having a solid year. You got Connor Barwin on the edge along with Robert Quinn on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while they have had some injuries early on the season, they still have a stacked group on the defensive line.
Yet still somehow give up a crap ton on the ground. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. It's got to be a scheme thing at that point because those are a bunch of players. There is no doubt about it.
I think a lot of it is just because they've given up the big runs. And just like the Seahawks, our run defense right now, we're not ranked up there very high because we've given up some big plays. And I guess maybe that will be what it comes down to in this game. Which team can limit the big plays the best?
It'll definitely be that. I think that turnovers this is going to be a huge one in this game. Is the turnover battle. You can't give up any cheap points to this Rams team. I mean, they score enough as it is. Don't give them a short field like you did against Indy. Right. I mean, we basically gifted Indy every one of their points. Can't do that.
Whether it was penalties or interceptions, there was a lot of that in that game against Indy.
This team is going to have to be sharp this week. None of this sloppy play for a half where they're just on another planet. Like their heads aren't in it. Their heart's not in it. I don't need them to wait around for a half until one player does something to fire everybody up. I got an idea. Get fired up before the game.
This team's going to be down at halftime.
Watch a Bruce Willis action flick. I don't know. Do something. Get fired up.
I will call it right now. The Seahawks will be down to the Rams at halftime.
I'll call it right now. We're going to lose this game.
I kind of feel that way too. But you know why that's okay? Because we lose to the Rams every year.
It's a reverse jinx. That's why it's okay.
We'll talk about this and pick them, but I might have to pick the Rams in this game.
Are you just giving up on a week?
Look, I might be willing to risk disqualification, getting all the games right by picking the Rams, but I feel that strongly about it. Like I said, we'll get into it in the pick show.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, tune in for that. If you don't, if you're not a member of the flock and do not support the show on Patreon, you should go ahead and do that. Just $1 a month gets you the bonus shows, the pick'em shows, and you'll get really interesting conversations like how Brandon could sell his soul to the pick'em league to possibly pick the Rams. I look forward to that conversation.
Okay, good, because it wasn't an easy decision for me, but it's a decision I had to make, and I will explain why.
I'm worried about your fandom, man.
Hey, I am too, man.
Yeah. We may need to work on your hawker after that.
It could take a hit this week, but I'm really interested to see if the Seahawks now, if they can continue to be perfect inside the red zone. Since the second half of the 49ers game, Adam, they've been perfect. They've been perfect 100% inside the red zone. The 9-yard pass to Richardson against the Niners, the 4-yard pass to Baldwin in the Titans game, the 10-yard pass to Carson. He got his first touchdown. And then you had an 8-yard pass to Paul Richardson in the Titans game. So 3 scores inside the red zone. Then we only had 1 red zone opportunity against the Colts, and Luke Wilson gets the touchdown pass.
You're such a catfish. Like, basically, you're that announcer when the field goal kicker walks up there and he's like, oh, he hasn't missed in 46 years. He's amazing. And they go up there and they jinx him and they miss it. Why'd you have to bring that up?
Did I totally just jinx us?
You did. You're like, oh, they've been perfect. This has been great.
Well, I already picked the team to lose, so, you know.
I'm really glad you brought up red zone proficiency, though, because I think that is a gigantic part of this game. I sat and watched the Rams kick 7 field goals against the Cowboys. They were putrid in the red zone.
They're one of the worst teams in the red zone.
Yeah. So the special teams is going to be a really big part of this game because you're going to see, if you enjoy punting, quality punting, this could be the game for you.
I can see all the listeners now raising their hands. I enjoy quality punting, Mr. Edward.
Yes, I know. So I'm speaking to you, that one listener is like, yeah, I love seeing John Ryan out there. I think that's his wife, maybe. But
she tweeted out that she doesn't love seeing him out there.
That's true. This could be, I think the punters are a wash, but when you look at the field goal kickers, Blair Walsh's shaky performance last week, you compare that to Greg the Leg, that gets a little scary because I think this is going to be a really close game. I don't think there's going to be a blowout either way. I think this is going to be a really, really tight game, and it could come down to kicking accuracy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
In fact, I think that was one of the things we looked at before the season even started as one of the things that we're concerned about. Now, fortunately, 2 games where Blair Walsh has missed kicks, it's been inconsequential. And I prefer that. Miss your kicks when they don't matter. So that way, when they do matter, you can make them.
Be anti-clutch in a moment that is totally anti-clutch.
Right.
Yeah.
Miss a field goal before halftime when you know you're just going to blow out the team in the second half. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. We knew it, too. We knew we were just blowing them out. There wasn't mass panic on the Seahawkers podcast Ring of Honor Facebook page.
No, I'm sure there wasn't. I'm sure there wasn't going into halftime. No panic among Seahawks fans at all at halftime in that game against the Colts. We just all knew. We knew the blowout was coming. Okay, let's weather the storm. Blowout's coming. It'll be awesome. And I just know that that's how it went in the mind of every 12 this last week.
Oh, for sure. Never a doubt. This team gives me supreme confidence. But the good news is that the Seahawks obviously struggle on the road, right?
Right.
Well, this could be a little easier road game. Yeah. This could be a little easier road game in the sense that Todd Gurley was out begging the fans to come to the stadium. So, the Los Angeles fans are notoriously fickle and quiet. So you're not going to have that same home dome advantage that you did in St. Louis.
Please come to our games. Please come to our game.
Todd Gurley on, what was it, the Rich Eisen show? Please come to our game. Please come to our game. You have to tell the fans to please show up at the game? They should just know.
Not people in LA, man. Like that's a notoriously bad fandom town.
But they just beat the Cowboys. They're 3-1. They're leading the NFC West outright. You don't think fans are going to actually show up at this game?
No, because it's still nice there. The weather is like they got other things to do.
Well, there's still. I'm looking at the seating chart now. There's tickets for around $60 to go to the Rams game. That's even if you pay the $60 for a ticket and parking, that's cheaper than going to a game at CenturyLink.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/tickets. Get a ticket to the game. You can be there. Help fill the stadium with Seahawks fans, not Rams fans, because Todd Gurley's begging them to come to the game.
Please come to our games. Please come to our games.
Absolutely. Let's out-fan them in their own college stadium. That'd be great.
Even though we picked them to lose, but that's...
Nope. I'm not picking them to lose. I'm picking them to win. I think we win this game 24-21.
A close one. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if the Rams get more than 20 points, they're going to win.
Not if we score 24, like I said, and they score 21.
I don't think we're going to score 24.
Really?
I am not as confident that the offensive line can get it together against the Rams' defensive line.
They have struggled on the road, the offensive line, when they've had their struggles. There's no doubt about it. But again, it's not a real strong home field advantage.
I don't know if you remembered, Aaron Donald's playing in this game.
Yeah, I've heard about that guy.
Yeah.
But that whole defense is 28th in the league when it comes to giving up points, too.
We got to run the ball, man.
Telling you, Thomas Rawls all day. I'm ready. It's time.
I want to see it. Do it. Let's get on the Thomas train.
I want Thomas Rawls to outrush Todd Gurley by about twice as many yards so I can rub it in the face of the Rams podcast when the game's over.
Ooh, I hope that happens.
I really hope that happens. I've earned this.
You have.
I've earned this.
We have the video to prove that you've earned it.
Correct.
All right, Adam, let's get on to the second half of the show.
Sounds like a plan, man. Stick around, folks.
And we are back. Be sure and check out seahawkers.org to find a chapter near you. All over the country, all over Seattle. Be sure and check it out. I know a lot of us were thinking about the Las Vegas Seahawkers this last week after what happened this, over the weekend, right? It feels like it's been so long now.
I know. Yes, it was over the weekend.
So a lot of us thinking about the folks there. Man, we've had too much screwy stuff happen the last few weeks. Yeah,
the crazy train never stops, apparently, these days. And super sad events there. And we're rooting for everybody that needs to be rooted for right now if they're recovering from injuries and that sort of thing.
The one thing that does make you feel good, though, is seeing people come together in times like that. And so many heroic actions and stories that we're hearing now coming out, in the aftermath and during the festival. Pretty wild. Yeah,
actually, one of my better life ideas this week was I've seen the photo now of this dude, like gunfire's raining down on him, and he stands up with his beer, drinking his beer, and just starts giving the gunman the bird. Just stands up, just like catfish you, man, catfish you for being a jerk. And I'm sure he must have been pretty hammered, or maybe not. Maybe he's just like, screw it, I don't give a crap. Yeah. Screw you, man. And he gives him the finger. Just standing there like he's on a street corner or something, just hanging out, with his beer in one hand. I thought that was,
wow.
A little bit of levity, a little bit of hilarity in what obviously has pretty much none. So a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we're not going to get into much of it. Just wanted to give kind of a shout out to those folks. But one of the things that kind of helps us get past that sort of thing is we have games to go to.
We do,
and we have a place that we can kind of escape. And I know, Brandon, you went out for this last game, and from what I could tell from all the pictures and stuff, it looks like you had an awesome time.
One of the more fun experiences that I've had at a game. And I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of games, been able to do a lot of cool things at the games. But this last week, the Seahawks invited military Seahawkers season ticket holders to hold the flag during the anthem at the start of the game. And, it's part of one of the reasons why the club was, it was the reason why the club was started in the first place back in 2003, was having uniform members hold the flag at the start of the game. So that's been going on for almost 15 years now. And I've kind of been lobbying for ways that our non-uniform members, our veterans, and people who just want to attend the game in civilian clothes, a way to get involved and be a part of that. And so it was cool when they made the offer this last weekend. The other cool thing, everyone had different reasons why they wanted to do it. Some wanted to be there to hold the flag kind of in response to, because of the fact that they didn't really like the demonstrations. Some wanted to do it because they support the players demonstrating. Some people just wanted to do it because, it's a really cool honor and an awesome experience. And so just talking to everybody, and the fact that we could all have different viewpoints and everybody was cool, and we could have a great experience holding the flag for the anthem, it being on the field through the player introductions and the actual anthem. Holy smokes, man. That is, you don't get that. There's no other way to have a similar experience like that.
Yeah, man. I wanted to quell a little outrage that people have over my actions during your time out there on the national anthem. Just so everybody knows where I was coming from. When I saw you out there, I took a knee. I took a knee, and not because I'm against the flag, against troops, or even making a statement about any of the police brutality or anything like that. I was just protesting you, just you as a person,
just to be a
catfish. Yeah. I mean, that was basically it. I really don't have, anything specific about you, just you overall. So I took a knee.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't shock me. That you would do that.
It felt appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people were confused to my intent, so I just wanted to clear that up.
Of why you did that. Yeah. Whether it was in support of the players. No, it was just against me in particular.
Right. And not even like against you holding the flag or anything. No, just you. Yeah.
Well, you weren't there, so I could see how you're being jealous got to you a little bit.
I don't want to talk about the motivations, Brandon. Okay.
Want to get into your psyche, Adam? Let's figure this out.
But I did in the middle of my living room. I just took a knee.
See, I thought you were joking, and now I'm convinced that you actually did
it. We'll never know. But I'm glad you had fun, man. That looked like a really cool experience. And yes, I was definitely jealous.
Yeah. And the good thing was it gave me a vantage point into whether or not we got in the wave for Kenny Easley. And I haven't forgotten about it. We are going to get to it before the end of the show. But before we get there, let's welcome some of our members of the flock.
All right. I always like it when we got some new people to invite into the warm, comfy confines of the flock. 5
new members of the flock this week. So welcome to the flock to Mike Miller, who's in for a $12.12 donation.
Holy
and I'll be
smokes.
thanking all of the $12 donors and above at the end of the show because that's what we do. As a thanks for them. Welcome to the flock to Mike Mason, in for $5.
Oh, awesome, man. He kind of chose his own custom amount. I like it.
Oh, that was a new one that I added.
Oh, you added a new one. What is the new one?
The $5 level.
Yeah, I know. But what do you get at $5, Brandon?
Oh, I haven't figured it out yet.
Oh, okay.
Just if that's what you want to do, it's there.
All right. Well, I know for sure he's going to get bonus shows and stickers. It can be a part of the Pick'em League, the Patron Pick'em League. Yeah, we'll have to figure out something else too. So thanks, dude.
And welcome to the flock to Brian DeLude, in for $3 for the bonus shows and the Pick'em League. And then a welcome.
More competition?
More competition. Brian is getting in there.
Thanks for the donation, Brian, but not thank you for joining up. I don't need any more competition right now.
No. And then welcome to the flock to Katie Warren, in for $1 for the bonus shows and stickers. Nice. I need to get those stickers mailed out this week now that it's the start of the month. And welcome to the flock to Oliver Fleck, in at the same level as well.
Now, see, Oliver Fleck is a solid name. That would be a good, regular super, when you're in your regular persona as a superhero. Oliver Fleck is great.
Yeah,
that would be a great name for that.
The alter ego of Gregory Peck.
Ooh, yeah. There you go. See, it works.
I think so. I don't know how, but it works.
Oliver's parents made up a good name for him.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
All right, well, let's take a look at our Seahawkers podcast leaderboard, Adam.
I can tell you something with certainty.
You did not.
I'm not on there.
You're not on there?
No. I mean, I had a decent week, but I'm not on the leaderboard.
We had 2 people get 170 points this week.
Holy smokes.
Tyrell 64, which I'm sure is probably just he obviously didn't get the word that he needs to change his name if we're going to give him a shout out. But your picks make me posick. I know who that is because that's Keith. Flocked him as prime.
Oh, is that Keith? Oh, awesome. Fantastic.
Nailed it this week.
So Tyrell 64. Now you know what a good team name sounds like and what just a regular standard username sounds like. So do better, man.
Do better.
Yeah.
All right, so let's...
But don't do any better at picks. I can't have you stretching the lead like this.
No, you really can't do much better at the picks, especially last week, 170 points. Man, to get that much and have games like the Patriots losing to the Panthers. And
that one got me.
Yeah, and then the Texans just rolled it up on the Titans.
I had the Texans.
You did. Yeah, well, they were maybe the Titans were due for a letdown game.
Right. No, I actually had a decent week. I can't remember exactly what my score is here. Let me look here real quick because I got in the bonus finally.
Oh, well, good for you. Yeah, I
had 140 points this week.
I think you and I tied this week. So,
of course you had a good week this week too.
Yeah.
Of course you did. That's why I took a knee. It's for things like that, Brandon. How dare you?
Well, looking at the overall group leaderboard, we have Altris in the top spot, 580 points. Russell Lindley at 570 points. Caught with your Fants down at 560. Peaceful Easily Feeling at 550, along with Chocolate Salty Rawls and Seahawk Sean, who still hasn't changed his name yet, hanging on there. Aaron Hood, I know... You need to change your name, too. 540 points. A lot of people at 540. But
we cannot have a Ring of Honor participant like Aaron Hood.
No.
Mail it in with just her regular name.
Change your team name. Go to weeklypick'em.fantasy.nfl.com. Look for the little gear next to my entry. Click on the gear, and you change your name there.
She'll do better. I know she will. I believe in Aaron.
Aaron's going to be my do better this week.
Okay. See what she did to herself?
I was on the fence about who I was going to pick, but now I know.
Okay, now you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get to do better.
All right, man. You or me? What do you want to do?
My do better is for Aaron. Aaron, change your name.
That was easy.
All the other people who in our Pick'em League, change your name. Do better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Wow, that was perfect. All right. Well, my do better this week is for Cameron Newton. And I don't know if his full name's Cameron or not. Might just be Cam. I don't care because he's an idiot. Cam Newton comes out and has a press conference after last week's game. And we'll have to talk about his behavior overall in the press conference here in a bit too, Brandon. But
Cameron Jarrell Newton.
Jarrell?
Jarrell with a J.
Of course it's with a J. Okay. Well, anyways... Cam Newton goes out in this press conference and takes a question from a reporter, and she asks him something about route running, and it was a perfectly legit question.
Well, let's play the audio, Adam.
I know you take a lot of pride in seeing your receivers play well. Devin Funchess has seemed to really embrace the physicality of his routes and getting those extra yards. A little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of truck sticking people out there?
It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. Like, it's funny. But fun is coming along, man. We're gonna. This is a big game for him.
So she asked him a totally legit question about something football related, doing her freaking job as a reporter, and Cam Newton has the gall to sit up there and laugh about how hilarious it is to him.
Yeah, so
that
funny.
A female talks about football like she knows about it. What a jerk. I've always known this guy was a jerk. I've always felt like he was sleazy. I've always sports hated him, to a large degree. This slips out of sports hate a little bit and into just like, you're just a bad person. Mm-hmm. I am not a fan. I've never been a fan of his cocky, arrogant attitude. And not only is he cocky and arrogant towards other players on the field, he's apparently has a superiority complex when it comes to women in sports as well. So to Cameron Jarrell Newton, do better.
Well, he's definitely getting he's already lost a sponsor because of it. Dannon apparently dropping Cam Newton.
Wait a second. I thought he did like the other yogurt, that Oikos stuff or whatever.
Maybe they make that Greek yogurt too.
Oh, probably do, huh?
Dannon makes all the yogurt, Adam.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know about...
Name me one other yogurt company.
Yoplait.
No, they're owned by Dannon too.
I'm sure they are. Is there a conspiracy worldwide of yogurt conglomerate?
There's a worldwide yogurt monopoly. Dannon is the top dog, and I think they probably own cottage cheese too.
Say it ain't so. We're screwed as a nation.
I have this theory. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Cam Newton loses his sponsorship of from the overall yogurt cartel in Dannon.
Yeah, but he may gain a Mile High sponsorship for what I saw from him in that press conference. So
this was hilarious to me, Brandon. So I went to the Seahawks podcast Ring of Honor page, and I can't remember who had posted the post about Cam Newton's comments here.
I think it was Anna.
And you know how it shows one comment that you can kind of see without clicking on it, right?
Right.
It was yours. And you said, I don't know if it's just me, but Cam Newton seems super high throughout his entire press conference. And I sat there and got to thinking, I was like, there's anybody on this planet who is less qualified to know if somebody is high or not.
It's me.
I'd like to see him because there's nobody less qualified than you to make that statement. And then I watched just the clip. I didn't even watch the whole thing. Oh yeah, that dude was freaking ripped. he was high as a kite.
Well,
Absolutely.
See, this is the difference between us, because it took me the entire press conference to realize it. You're able to tell in just one clip. But
yeah,
I had to watch the thing and I go, wait a second. Is he high?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, without question. There's no way. No way he wasn't.
One way, I mean, I don't want to say that as a way to explain. It still doesn't make it okay.
No.
But it explains why he thinks that something that dumb is that funny to him.
Yeah, I can't imagine, token up just before a press conference in front of, the nation. Like, no, it doesn't explain away his comments because, he made the choice. I'm guessing. I mean, it's all speculation, but he made the choice to do that before he stepped down and said, you're bound to say something freaking stupid. Like, you did it to yourself at that point, man. That'd be my guess, though. I don't need a blood test or anything. Like, I'm pretty sure. You
know what this tells me, though? This is why there needs to be more female refs. There needs to be more female coaches. We can have female refs. Like, all you need is eyeballs.
Right. And sound judgment.
Right.
Doable.
I think those are qualifiers for any human.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and you probably have to have 2 working legs and 2 working arms to make the hand gestures and then the run up and down the field.
That part makes it easier, yeah.
So you need basic human being parts, and you could be qualified to become a referee if you're so inclined.
And same with coaching too.
Yeah, you don't even need all your working limbs for that.
No, exactly. Yeah. So
the bar's lower physically, but maybe but you got to have the expertise and be around the game and all that. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Well, you got to imagine that it's the mentality of what Cam Newton expressed there. It has to be pervasive around the league. And so for a woman to crack that ceiling, so to speak, to get into either one of those positions, it'd be difficult to do.
Well, we've seen it be difficult to do because I think there's one female referee. There's maybe one female coach now that's with a professional team.
Right.
So it's just now getting to that point.
Right.
But I think as we see more of that, hopefully we'll see less of what we saw from Cam.
Yep, I agree. So do better. Smoke less before press conferences.
All right, Adam, on to Better at Life.
All right. My Better at Life this week is punter related because I love the punters, maybe more than everybody else. But there's somebody that loves our punter more than I do, and that's Sarah Colonna, the lovely wife and comedian of John Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not much of a Twitter person, but somebody like this had come across and I'd seen it somewhere else.
When the important tweets come up, you get to see them.
Yeah, exactly. And this was, she's obviously funny, a professional comedian, but I just appreciated where her head was at during the game this last week. Sarah Colonna tweets, "It's better for my sex life if the Seahawks win tonight, so please consider rooting harder for them too." Thanks. And I was legitimately concerned about, the sexy time for those two. Like that was part of my. I had another reason now to root a little harder for the Seahawks. I want Sarah to get some. Like I think it's important.
That is important. I'll be rooting for that too now.
It seems obvious that in a loss, man, like you probably feel a little less frisky when you get home.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the game seriously.
I mean, just as a fan, I think a lot of us after the game are like, yeah,
right,
not into it so much.
So you have breakfast for dinner when they come home,
right? I'm all about breakfast for dinner. I know Mike in San Diego is too.
Yeah, exactly. So to Sarah Colonna for just being overall hilarious and really cool. Thank you for that tweet. And you are better at life than Skip Bayless.
My better at life than Skip Bayless this week. Section 344 in the stadium at CenturyLink.
Are you finally getting to this wave thing after teasing it? You've been a wave tease.
I've given the wave tease the entire show. We've finally gotten to it, and it's because Section 344 got the wave done, Adam. I'll give a little credit to Sections 121, 122. They were trying to start it earlier, but in the third quarter, I look over to my right, and there they are, 344, getting after it. They were going to make sure that this was going to happen because each time you saw the wave go a little bit farther and a little bit farther around the stadium, finally, it got all the way around to us, all the way in the Hawks' nest. It made it around one time. Now we didn't get multiple times around the stadium. That's fun too. But it was right about that time where Russell Wilson completed the big pass to Tyler Lockett. We got the wave around once. Then that happened, and then I think because we got it all the way around once, we said, we're good. We got it. We got it in, Kenny. We got it in for you. And so for 344, getting the job done. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
I'm really happy with the folks in 344 because it saved you from having to come through on your promise to yell at people. I knew that wasn't going to go well for you?
Yeah, it wasn't going to go well for me. And it was really hard because in the Hawks' Nest, one thing that I've never sat there before. And one of the cool things, I got to sit with David from Camus, and I got to sit with Floctimus Prime and watch the game from the Hawks' Nest. Never sat there before. Those guys are awesome to sit and watch the game with. Yeah. And but I said sit and watch the game, but in the Hawks' Nest, there is no sitting to watch the game. It's standing and watching the game the whole time. And
these are my people.
Yeah, no, it's a cool spot, and plus you get the Madden view, as David liked to call it. Ooh, and kind of that backside all 22 type view. I think you would dig sitting there for sure, or standing there.
Yes, I would. I'd very much like to stand there, but. Yeah, 344, give them a lot of credit, man, because even though you guys just got it around the stadium once, that's all that needed to be done. We fulfilled our commitment as 12s, and, Mama Blue and Kenny Easley can sleep well, knowing that the fans respected their wish.
Indeed. No, I was happy to see it get done, and no matter who started it, but I did notice 344, they were definitely intent on getting it in, so I appreciate that.
Whew. We got it. We finally got the show done this week, Brandon. I know we had to postpone throughout the week. It's been a really busy week for me. It's all my fault. So if you're sitting here going, it's about damn time I got to hear a show, it's a me problem, and I apologize. Just so y'all know.
Adam was too busy congratulating himself for taking a knee on Sunday that he finally got the show in got to record on Thursday.
Dude, I took a bunch of selfies when I did it, made a collage, and I went down to Staples and had some prints made up for
it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of time. I was busy. I'm going to make a tribute video to myself for doing it here and just
all the different camera angles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to pick out the right music.
Now that's been the hardest. That's been the hardest thing, because a lot of people would say it's obvious that you just play the national anthem, but no.
You got to score that the right way.
Absolutely. I was thinking of something, that is more melodic and sweeping, something with some strings and that's kind of dramatic, like something from Last of the Mohicans or something. Yeah.
It's because you have to go through the entire Danny Elfman catalog of music.
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with Danny's work.
Well, either Danny Elfman or maybe John Williams, who does like all the Star Wars music. He has a pretty thick catalog too.
Okay. I'm going to need to do that. Hey, I just want to say good job by you last episode with the little bloopers at the end with our road struggles. The people seem to really enjoy that. I enjoyed that. That was fun. So
when I noticed how many times we got disconnected, I figured I had to put a little blooper reel at the end. So I'm glad there were some people that noticed that Easter egg. And before we get going, I want to make sure that we shout out to all our monthly contributors of $12 or more.
Yes.
So thanks to DCH in Sparks, Nevada, Ross in Eureka, California, Ron in San Francisco, Ella in Woodway, Texas, Christina in Manassas, Virginia, David in Camas, Washington, Summer in Vancouver, Washington, Sven in Teltow, Deutschland, James in Linwood, Hector in Seattle, Craig in Camas, Washington, Keegan in Colorado Springs, Roe in Federal Way, Jameson in Murray, Utah, Gary in Chappaqua, New York, Young in Anchorage, Heath in Covington, Washington, a.k.a. Flocktimus Prime, John in New York City, Tim in Austin, Kathy in Eureka, California, Garrett in Northern Ontario, Kevin in Keene, Texas, Paul in Milton, Florida, Mark in Curup, Western Australia, Crystal in Oldsmere, Florida, John Paul in Palmer, Alaska, Taylor in Englewood, Colorado, and Mike in Anchorage, Alaska. Thank you so much for supporting the show month to month.
I am so proud of all of you folks that do come in and support the show the way you do at that level. I would like to have so many more people do it that we have to put like a companion episode out at the first of the month every year just to read off the names. We're getting close. I mean, I can't believe how many of you actually support us that way, and thank you so much.
Well, Adam, with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Catfish
the Rams.
Yes.
Catfish
the Rams.